44 years. Therefore, I feel particularly disturbed when a Vice-Chancellor appointed 2 years ago does something which is inimical to the ethos of this university, does something to destroy the university. But at the same time, precisely because I hold this university in great esteem, having taught here for 44 years, I would be very careful and chary about debunking a Vice-Chancellor before proper evidence is presented. But having listened to both the presenters and also the other jury members, I find myself in complete agreement with what Nandita said and with what Apurvanand said, that there is indubitable evidence of his having violated certain important statutory provisions. In fact, to the extent that actually an act of parliament has been violated, I think this is a matter which JNUTA should also take up with members of parliament and should generally raise this issue in the public sphere, because this is really an insult to the parliament itself. But I'd just like to make a further point, namely that a university like JNU, in my view, is really one of the success stories of post-independence India. It's one university that one can really feel genuinely proud of. There are numerous instances of this, I don't have to go into those. But one of the reasons why this university has become like this is because it has always functioned on the basis of a sense of community, by which I don't mean that there are no contradictions within JNU. There are enormous contradictions. But it has functioned on the basis of a sense of community, because there are certain accepted checks and balances. If you like, there's an ethico-legal framework, not just a narrowly legal framework, but an ethico-legal framework which is more or less accepted by all, and it is that which ensures that no matter how severe the contradictions amongst ourselves, nonetheless we do function as a practicing community. Now, I believe that this is a hallmark of all major universities. I mean, you look at Oxbridge and so on, there are huge quarrels among them, but people would not actually go beyond a certain limit in their actions on the grounds that this is not done. When you say this is not done, you are implicitly invoking an ethico-legal framework. You see, a university is a highly moral space, and the morality of that space is ensured by everybody's adherence to this ethico-legal framework, which implies not just the statutes, but a whole range of conventions. The fact that the deanship should rotate, the fact that diversity of opinions should therefore be heard, the fact that the Vice-Chancellor should be open to people who can come and talk to him. In fact, our first Vice-Chancellor, G. Parthasarathi, used to drop into students' canteen to sit at tables and chat with students about the problems they had. So, from the very beginning, this ethico-legal framework is something which has been in place. It has ensured that the university has functioned as a moral space, and that is why, despite all our innumerable quarrels and contradictions and so on, a sense of community has prevailed. Now, I believe that quite apart from the explicit violations of statutes, what the current Vice-Chancellor is doing is really torpedoing this ethico-legal framework. And this is there in the way he flouts conventions. This is there even in his claim in defense of his actions, that look, I mean, as the chief, as the head of the university, I have a right to do that. One doesn't go on the basis of rights within a community as long as you're bound by the ethico-legal framework. Now, whether in the matter of procedures, whether in the matter of intake, whether in the matter of reservations, quite apart from the statutes that would have been violated, I think there is a violation of the implicit and explicit ethico-legal framework on the basis of which this university functions. Now, it's very strange that the Vice-Chancellor of the university is himself really undermining the premises upon which this university has been founded. Now, this is a matter which requires us of taking it to the public at large, because a university's ethico-legal framework is also something which must, as it were, spill over into society at large. If the university is a moral space, then it can function as a moral space only in a society that also has a certain morality of functioning. University must actually influence society, and that is why I believe we should take this out, take this to the public. Where there is a violation of the Act of Parliament, we should take it to the Parliament, and therefore we should generalize this concern that all of us have as jury members, as members of the audience, about what is happening to this university. And insofar as he has a mindset, I'm not going into matters of ideology, insofar as he has a mindset, which was pointed out by one of the jury members, which is quite different from the fundamental presumption on which this university is based, I would certainly agree with the preceding speaker that he is undeserving to be the head of this institution.